I was going to say, gentlemen, welcome to the show. But Greg's walking his dogs and not here yet. So, well, I guess I could say gentleman versus gentlemen. So I guess that, and nobody would have realized how we were pronouncing it, right? So it would have been fine.
Correct. It would have came out the same. So yeah.
Yeah. One day I'll be that smart and figure out the whole grammar, that spelling thing. Yeah. But maybe I don't even need to do that with AI anymore. I don't know. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Outwired. We're going to talk about a couple cool things today. We're going to dive into another section of KOA's North American Camping Report with the esteemed Scott Bahr, who conducted all of the research and will give us his thoughts. And we'll bounce back and forth on some ideas. All three of us, talking about different things in the report and how we kind of feel and how the trends are going and what we're seeing in our consulting businesses and our marketing, advertising, AI, all that kind of stuff. So excited to dive into that with Scott Bahr a little bit. And then I think we'll talk, we were talking about a little bit, like we want to talk about experiential hospitality maybe. And I don't know, like, should we do that first and then go to KOA? Because like we know everybody wants to see the KOA stuff, right? So like, should we hook them and keep them watching longer and make them wait, or should we do KOA first?
I think that both topics are pretty interesting. I think because we'll have a different group of people will want to discuss each. So I that's just my.
We'll let Greg be the tiebreaker when he comes on. We'll let Greg be the tiebreaker. He can decide. I don't really care either way.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Like, either way works.
Well, we'll talk about experiential hospitality too, I think is what we want to talk about. And obviously we've talked about that before, and you've heard all the things and you've read the blog posts, right? We're going to take this in a completely different direction here. We're going to talk about like both experiences, how they've changed a little bit from the past and where you could just kind of get by with having also I have, and then now how where you have to begin to differentiate yourself into a down economy where not as many people are going camping, but still a lot of people are, right? But not as many. And then like where that goes in the future, because there's going to be some serious competition for experiences in the future that you guys probably don't even know is coming. That's going to be really interesting to talk about, I think, and just imagine kind of where the future of camping and RV parks and how that plays in there and how you keep your brand and all the kind of cool stuff like that. So that'll be an interesting discussion, I think. I was hoping like if I just rambled on enough at the beginning of the show that like Greg would actually pop in a minute or two late, but now it's been 3 minutes and he said in his text message like a minute or two. So, but he's in Northeast Ohio. So I don't know if do they work on the same time in Ohio as everywhere else? I was born there, I should know.
No, they're different. No, it's a different place there.
Yeah.
I think they have their own time system and calendars as well.
Like almost like is it the Gregorian? Is that a thing? Did I make that up, or is that there's a Gregorian calendar, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah. So I wonder if he celebrates New Year on the same day as us, and Christmas and all that stuff, or it's different. Anyway, so let's just start briefly with, because I want to involve Greg in a couple things when he comes in, if he pops in, but let's start with like what come across your desk this week, Scott?
This topic is one of the ones that I actually really enjoy with this show, because it makes me think about what is it, what did come across and what things were relevant to me, or because I do feel that this is a fairly personal part of it. For me, it's really taken a step back and thinking, and ironically enough, in our text with Greg this afternoon, he was talking about as a consultant the idea of scope creep, and he was making somewhat of a joke about it. As a consultant, it's something that you always deal with. And along those lines, for me, what really became a very kind of in your face moment was the idea of what work you decide to take on. Sometimes if you're making that decision, if you're a business owner as we are, what work do you take on versus what work don't you take on? What work do you decide, that's not for me. It's not my wheelhouse. It's not something that I'm that comfortable with. But sometimes we get caught in the trap of doing it anyway. And I can
making money, yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, that's part of it. I mean, cash flow obviously is a very relevant issue. And so in taking a look at that, though, I've been working on a project that is now 3 weeks longer than it should have, than initially.
Okay.
At each step of the way, there's been a hiccup. Something has happened. Some of it is self-induced. Some of it is not. But it's just one of those projects I call them cursed. It's somewhat. And here's the thing, and this is why I'm bringing this up, is when I took this work, I knew I should have said no. There was, in considering it, there was a big part of me that said, this really isn't something we should take on right now. But I did anyway. And it has lived up to those
expectations.
Yeah. And then some. So it's, my thing is, trust your gut on it. Sometimes saying no is the best thing you can do, because again, to kind of just go back to it, when it's all said and done, I'll have lost money on this work. I won't have even made a profit from it. So in that regard, again, thinking about it, it's like sometimes we need to just say no.
Just say no.
Just say no.
Yeah. Damn, I wish I had that like anti-drug commercial pulled up now. This is your brain on taking on a client you shouldn't have.
The fried egg.
Yeah, the fried egg.
Yep.
It's an interesting existential problem, though, right? Like, I think all business owners have it, and some are better at it, and some aren't. And some, like me, it took me I think I'm still probably like you, right? But like I've gotten better at it over the years of like, I really don't want to do this, or I can't do this, or this isn't something we offer as a service, or I'll offer something and then say I don't want to offer it anymore, or something like that, right? But it's always a struggle, because like, one, the money thing, right? And we like, really what we should do, and this would be interesting, like if society happens to, and I don't think it will, but let's say society falls apart because of AI and robotics in the next 4 or 5 years, we should just start a commune in either Alberta or Maine, or we could have 2 locations, right? Because we definitely don't want to do it in Ohio for reasons that we've already talked about here. But like, we should start a commune in Maine or in Alberta, like in the middle of the wilderness, and like we can just like do the Outwired show from there, and then like people can, it's like the Truman Show, they can just track our lives as like a random money-free commune where we don't need to be beholden to money. We can take on whatever clients we want. Like, clients would obviously look radically different. But maybe that would be an interesting spin-off show. Like if we get as popular as Law and Order, we're going to need like spin-off shows, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So welcome, Greg.
Hi, Greg. Just so you know, I built on one of your texts from earlier about scope creep. Mine was, because we were talking about what came across our desks this week, and mine was sometimes saying no to projects, saying no to work.
And that is a really, really hard thing to do. Really hard thing to do. I don't know if you struggle with it like I do. Yeah, I've got a really tough time with it sometimes.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like, yeah, it's hard, right? Like, because you want to do all the things for all the people, but then like, if you take on something, or like you do something even as a favor for somebody, or you're like, I'll give you a discount. And then there's like that trouble with, like, I was reading a LinkedIn post to Scott before we started about somebody in the creative arts industry who was talking about AI and how, like, everything's going crazy and the valuations of people's like work is down near ultimate lows, and for like $8 on Upwork, everybody wants like a complete brand package now, and like all the things, right? And it's like, there's things that you do to set yourself apart. That's not what we're talking about, but it was just interesting to think about, like, how, I don't know, like you evolve and adapt your services, and you have to be both selective, but you also have to be conscious of what your value actually is.
Yes.
And that's opinionated, right? But like, I did this for so long, and I still do this for people, right? Like, I know I don't charge enough money, and all my clients are like watching the show. They're like, what are you talking about? You're so expensive. But like, do you realize what I actually do? Then like, no, you wouldn't, right? All the things that I've been able to automate to do, but whatever, that's a whole different conversation. But so like, I identify with all three of you as business owners. I do want to get to your take, Greg, in a second. Before we do that, though, it has come to my attention, gentlemen, and I'm almost certain of this, that we are actually cool old people. I'm pretty sure of this, right? Like most old people are not cool, but I think that the three of us are. And as a result, I'm almost certain that we probably have millions of Gen Z people watching us on TikTok right now because we're cool old people. So I want to just make sure that we set this tone and stage and remind everybody for what this show really is. So Lisa, go ahead.
This program is intended for mature audiences.
Okay, good. Now that we have that out of the way, everybody's aware of that for all the Gen Z people on TikTok who are following us. So go ahead and tell us about your week, and then we have some new characters we want to introduce, I think.
You talking to me specifically?
Yeah.
The late guy? Yeah, and thanks. Sorry to be late. But
I didn't do mine either yet, so that's fine. But like, go ahead.
Well, no. So what's really interesting? It's funny that the conversation started going this way, because this week for me has been all about opportunity cost, which is a term that I, as a campground owner, I didn't know what that meant. I certainly still measured it, right? If I do something for this guy and then everybody else asks me for it, and then what am I not doing while I'm helping this one customer out and doing something that I typically wouldn't do or offer? It's been all about that for me, like trying to get through the working on the business as opposed to in the business and balancing that. It's been difficult. I took a little extra time around the holiday. And so that's been most of the week for me is trying to balance that. I'm amicably, if I can say it, amicably parting ways with Camp Strategy and founding this new brand called Vireo. And so there's a lot of work that goes into doing that and separating accounts and but then I've also got deliverables that are, due in the next 10 days or so. So where do I put my time? And it's something that I'm actually thinking about offering as part of my consulting services, is helping people sort of building a framework. Yeah, sort of building a framework around, because I think one of the things that the park owners, especially the mom and pop level ones, like I was, we struggled with, establishing lanes and staying in the damn lanes. We're a family business. So, I changed lanes every once in a while, but my dad would he'd cut across 6 lanes of traffic and then cut back across. And he'd probably say the same thing about me, right? If he was here talking. You've got to figure those out. You've got to figure out roles and responsibilities. You've got to get in your lane, stay in your damn lane, and everybody else has to stay in there. You've got to be moving towards, you're moving towards the end destination, right? But you might be taking different routes to get there depending on what your role and responsibility is within the business. And this week I've toyed with that idea of setting up maybe some automation, or even just a questionnaire that then would sort of lead to some more coaching from me about specifically, what's your structure now? Because most of the mom and pops I know don't have one. Their structure is I wake up. I wake up, I set my hair on fire, and then I run around all day. And then somewhere around midnight, I pass out, and then I wake up again and I just go again. Man, so much can be reclaimed. So much of your life can be reclaimed with the right structure if you're disciplined enough to stick to it. So there you have it. Long story long.
Yeah, I mean, the structure is clearly important, and that's a never-ending process for me, at least as a business owner, right? Like, there's
for everyone, it has to live and breathe. It has to live and breathe. It has to evolve.
Something to do, something to make better, something to whatever.
Yep.
Never have time for it all because you're working for clients, and that's not a complaint, right? Like, you're working for clients, but then you have to balance the time between yourself. Like, I don't know if I agree with the stay in the lane thing, because, like, me, I'm the guy who's like, fuck you, that's my lane now. I'm taking that. Like, it was your lane, but now that's mine.
You're part of the problem, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I am part of the problem for sure. But also, like, I don't know, like, sometimes when I veer into a lane, I stay there and it's good for people. So,
and if you're an operator, and it's what a lot of mom and pops are, that's what we were operators. Well, we all three thought we were operators. So there was a lot of that going on. And my dad and I are so much alike. I can't even believe I'm saying this, admitting it out loud. He doesn't watch the show, so he'll never hear it. We're so much alike that this is ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. It was, somebody should have probably filmed it. We'd have had the best reality show ever. Like American Chopper, you remember that?
Oh yeah.
I never
American
watched it, but I remember
Campground.
it. Yeah.
Oh, American Campground would have killed it if it was filmed at our place. The battles that we
I did that like a long time ago. I'm gonna have to go look that up now. It's like, I don't know, 2 years ago. Like I had ChatGPT generate an image of like a reality television show being filmed at a campground.
Oh man, it would
It was
be
a pretty
spectacular.
interesting fun
If you
fact.
had the right family, it would be outrageously good.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
We'll produce that. Like, let's just make a note of that. We'll actually, because in like 2 years, we're going to be able to prompt all the AI things to do all that.
Right. That's right.
We'll just make our own like reality TV show of like, I don't know. We could have the characters in here that we want to talk about, right?
Potentially,
Like
or we
Scott's
film it at the
stuff.
maybe that's what the commune, the Truman Show commune becomes.
I think it could work. Scott, do you want to introduce your characters?
This is going public.
Yeah, this is going public. Why not? I said like,
What
we
if
want to
someone?
introduce the show.
It's not copyrighted.
And what if? Yeah, I was going to say
It
he
is
didn't get a chance
copyrighted.
to
We
develop
created it.
them yet.
Like copyright is inherent based on creativity, according to the United States. So like as soon as you created it, then technically I think the copyright for the idea is with you and the copyright for the design is with me.
Oh, okay.
So we'll just have to remain somewhat friends in
So-
order to keep you in.
The
So talk about
original
your idea and then we'll introduce it.
the original idea was, it wasn't really going to be camping related, but you made it camping related. And I think that's fine. I think that works. But it's my idea was to create a cartoon, 2 characters. It's actually based on the household I live in to some degree. I didn't tell you guys that yet though, but because it happens a lot is so the idea is to create these 2 characters like kids, kind of edgy, and one of them their name is Fuck Y'all and the other one's Fuck Yeah. And it's kind of the balance, the yin and yang. It's the one, kind of edgy and the other optimism. But yeah, there's a lot of potential for this, I think. And
I think so too. I think we
Brian.
expanded upon it like crazy when we actually had this thing drawn. So Lisa, share the screen there. You're gonna have to guess like which one of these. If you click one of them but don't click share, does it show you a preview of it? Yeah. All right. So we just want not that one. Go down to try the first one in a row.
I don't think you mean yeah. I think you mean fuck yeah. I think you have to say.
I mean fuck yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. There you go.
Fuck y'all. I'll share it when I'm ready.
There you are.
All right,
oh
go
my
ahead.
God, it's off and running now.
All right. So we had ChatGPT image gen create fuck y'all and fuck yeah. These are our consistent characters, right? So I think this turned out really well, Scott. Is this what you're imagining, or?
Pretty much. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So Lisa, then let's go to another tab. And so I made one of these for, just click one, not that one. That's the last one. So go to the other 2. Yeah, just pick that one. That's fine. So I made one for bird watching for Greg. Consistent characters, by the way, ChatGPT can do if you prompt it right? So there's one there. And you can see like it's just the apathetic guy, right? Is what the fuck y'all is the, wow, look at that, an insufferable disappointment. And then the always enthusiastic, yeah. Right? What does he say, Scott? One more time.
People can read.
Oh, we got it twice, Greg. All right, let's go to the third one then.
Not playing your games.
All right, the data, data one. I think it's that one. No, it's not that one. That one. Okay. And then we got the data one for Scott Bahr. I didn't make one on AI. I should have made one on AI. But then we have the one for all the campground owners who are about to head into their busy season. We made one just for you guys.
By the way, this one here, I can be both characters in this. I can be both.
That's right.
Depending on the data you're looking at.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, go for it, Lisa. So this is for all you who are about to start your season. Welcome, campers. From Fuck Y'all and Fuck Yeah. I think we could have some fun with this. This should be like, and I think like, I told you I was going to get the 3D printer right here.
Mhm.
And eventually we'll do that. I want to, like, for sure we can turn these into 3D characters, and we can print like little action figures, and we can have them, like, we can send them to like 3 copies of each. I think that for sure should be on our list of things. And the outfits they're wearing here, I think, are perfect for that.
Oh yeah,
So
Little scouting outfits.
yeah.
absolutely.
All right, Lisa, we're good with that. So, yeah, we'll have some fun with them. We'll just like I think we'll just create a bunch of characters. We'll bring this stuff back once in a while. Like, once in a while, like maybe once a month, we'll bring back Burnout Bob, and then we'll bring those 2 guys. Lisa just said she wanted to do fuck yeah. Go ahead, open your mic and say it. You can say that.
No, I'm not saying it either.
Oh, she's not saying it either. She's not a.
In Dutch, there's a word, a small cabinet is called een vakje. So I would say to my mom, "Oh, nice, you've got a new vakje." Anyways, I'm out.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So where do we want to start? So Greg, you're going to be the tiebreaker here, right? So we're going to talk about 2 things here. We're going to talk about another section of the KOA North American Camping Report. Oh, I got to do my week thing too, but like you can vote on this, and then I'll do my thing of the week. So the North American Camping Report, another section we're going to deep dive into this week with Scott.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about experiences and how like the competition for that is going to go crazy in the future. We'll talk about robots, 3D printing, and all the competition you're going to face as a campground owner. So which one do you think we should start with first? Like I said, like maybe we should make them wait for the data because that's what they're here for. Scott said he didn't really care either way. So you're the tiebreaker. You decide what goes first.
I'm a boring, chronologically oriented human. So to me, we start with the present, which is the data, and then we move to the future.
All right. Works for me. All right. So let me talk about, Lisa, can you share my screen? I want to talk about the one thing that came across my desk this week. Now, I've actually been doing this for like at least a year and a half now, I think, right? But it came across, like it came into my memory because my girlfriend and I were talking about something like 2 days ago, just like differing viewpoints and opinions. And, obviously there's a lot of that going around now, right? Like there's a lot more opinionated people online. There's a lot more opinionated people who say they're like experts in this or that, and it changes week to week, right? And it's hard to disseminate online too, like what's true and what's not, and what's factual and what's not, and what's coming from a half expert versus an expert versus somebody who just wants to have an opinion because they have a voice in social media. And so like I told her, like, she was saying, like, I think we were watching Rogan actually the other day, but like on YouTube. And I think she was saying like, well, how do you just believe what Joe Rogan says? And I'm like, no, I don't believe what anybody says at face value. And then we started having this conversation. She's like, well, how do you know what to believe? And I said, like, well, I'll do my research and I'll figure out like, okay, like I think I want to believe this way, right? About any topic, whatever. And then I'll do opposition research on it. But now you can do opposition research on steroids because you have ChatGPT. So think about something, like give me something that you believe, Greg, like just a fact or figure or something that like would be interesting to look up on ChatGPT. It doesn't have to be work related. It can be anything. But something where like there's something where there's clearly like a I'm on this side belief thing, right?
The Earth is round.
Okay, the Earth is round. That works. That's a good example. Yeah. So like this is what I'll do, right? Like I'll come into and now I have O3, but like all of this works in any version of ChatGPT. And you can say, I believe the Earth is round. I want to hear the most convincing argument from the other side as to why it isn't. And that's it. And then if you put this into ChatGPT, and even better in the thinking one now, and you can do this with everything, right? I want it, like, convince me I'm wrong. Let me hear the other side's opinion. Let me hear whatever. Then all of a sudden you can get this really nice balanced perspective of like, here's what the other people's perspective are. Here's what they believe. Doesn't mean they're right, but maybe you change your mind. Maybe you look at data you never would have seen before, right? And so this thing is like, below is the best package case that contemporary flat earth advocates usually put forward. The curvature is missing, no visual drop-off, high altitude footage. We're not going to read all this, right? Water finds its level, et cetera, right? And obviously, like, this is very clear. Like, we all know the Earth is round. But, like, you can use this for anything, political, or when you come across a news story, or when you're, right? Like, anything that you're hearing online, if you really want to know the opposition's perspective, because you should in things that are important, right? Like not everything, but like any things that impact your life or you're making big decisions based on or whatever else, right? You always want to hear that other perspective, especially when we're talking about like data, for example, right? Or consulting, or like, hey, I think you should add a cabin. Like I'm like for your consulting business, right, Greg? Like, hey, I'm working with a client in X city in X state, and I've told them I think they should add a cabin. Can you convince me? Like, give me the opposite opinion. And obviously, the more details you feed it, are better. But like this has always opened my eyes to like, and I've always been that research person. I was always the person where, and I've always leaned a little bit more, like I say liberal, but that's not true, right? Like I'm really more independent, but like I've always been on that a little bit left side, and it's a different left in Canada than it is in the US. That's changed. But even back then, like I would always read the article on CNN, and then I would go read the same article on Fox News, and then I would decide what I believe. So I just thought that was interesting. I wanted to share it with people. That's it.
Yeah, it's critical thinking with your AI, and it really important. I think you and I had this conversation once before, Brian. Really important to do if you use AI a bunch, because it can form biases because it knows you, right? I think you told me
you
a
have
little
the
bit
memory
about
on.
that.
Yeah, like I turn my memory off, but yeah, if you have the memory on.
So if you have the memory on, it learns you. It learns the things that you like. It could end up translating things back to you with your own biases on. Really talk about an echo chamber. You could have your AI talking to you in a biased way. So really important to do if you use it a lot, especially if you got the memory on.
That is interesting. Like I should flip mine on and see if I can get it to create a bias for myself. Like even like see if I could trick it into thinking I have an opposing viewpoint where it argues with me. But yeah, that would be interesting. Okay, so data first. Scott, where do you want to start? Are you going to share your screen again, or am I going to share my screen?
That didn't work last time.
Okay. Lisa, can you find that link again to the? I should have it like actually in my history, right? But go ahead. Like, where do you want to start? And then I'll pull this up and we'll find it.
It's I think for that this week I'd like to talk about the first time campers.
Yeah.
Because I think that is something that will build on the following conversation on experiences too. So
have it up, Lisa, on my screen.
I just sent you the link, by the way, in chat. Oh, there we go. So page 23, I believe it is.
Are part of these what you would call COVID campers, Scott? Would these be, or are they already gone?
COVID campers are gone.
Okay.
So
are you sure that's not what I heard on social media recently?
Yeah.
Don't believe everything you hear on social media.
All right.
So it's my advice of the day. So just to start this off, one of the things that has changed over time is how people's first camping experience. It's like you can see on here that 56% of these new campers, these first timers, stayed at a campground with a lot of services and amenities, whether it's a campground like for example a KOA or a Yogi or whatever, or a Spacious Skies that has a lot of services, amenities, and things to do, or they've stayed at a resort that that has higher end facilities and amenities like a glamping resort. So that first time group, their introduction to camping is at a much higher level than it used to be. We didn't ask this question in the early days of the survey, so we don't know how much it's changed, but you have to trust me that it's changed.
Like we do know a little bit, right? Because my dad used to tell me this when I was a kid, right? Like he used to say that, like I walked 90 miles in the snowstorm backwards uphill to go to work, right? Like he used to say like things like, I learned how to be in the outdoors because my dad just kicked me out the door, and like I spent the night like wandering the woods, and that's how I got my appreciation of the outdoors. So I think we do know, right? Like that was bad back then, like according to my dad anyway.
Well, there weren't that many campgrounds with a lot of facilities. It was most, a lot of state national park camping, a lot of, rustic campgrounds, a lot of mom and pops who had a field basically, and would say, "Oh, go park over there and set up your tent or park your
Because
RV."
that's all we needed back then, right? Like we should not. I should not bring this up, but like you guys should go watch this. I almost played it on the show, but I figured it'd be too controversial. Bill Maher the other day on, like, if you ever watch Bill Maher on HBO, like the end of his show where he does that, like his final thought thing or whatever. He was talking about how Trump wants to bring all the factory jobs back, and like who's going to run the factories? The robots. It's definitely not going to be Gen Z because they're too soft and they don't have the right. And he showed like a bunch of the photos on Instagram with their hair back and all that kind of stuff. But that thing, like, it's a different, like, and maybe some of it was made up, like my dad, right? Like I for sure feel like that didn't happen, what he was saying, right? Like just nobody walked backwards uphill in the snow. But I think that, like, for sure it's changed. And some of that is like people like you're talking about, right? They didn't have it back then. They had the national park, they had more roughing it. And then we got to a little bit more services and a little bit more services. And then we got to where we are now and where we'll go in the future.
Absolutely. And it's the emergence of the number of campgrounds and campsites that are available, places to stay that have these upgraded facilities. And in my view, if you want to introduce someone to camping and having an outdoor experience and you want them to continue, this is probably your best bet anyway. Don't take them backpacking. I'm telling you, it's not the way to go.
Well, it depends on the type of person they are, right? But generally, I agree with you. Like most people, I don't know what the percentage is, but like high, 80%, right? Probably.
Right. What you want to do is minimize suffering. It's like, that's, bugs, all that kind of stuff. Plus, a lot of these folks, the first timers, have some fears. Staying at these facilities alleviates a lot of that fear. So it's not surprising that this is the case, and this is especially relevant, again, for those the leisure travelers that have been migrating into camping, and the younger people. We, in a future conversation, I think we'll have a conversation regarding one of the sections of the report that deals with Gen Z in particular. But we won't talk about that today because Brian's already insulted our Gen Z viewers and listeners. So there's
millions of them, man. They're here for the punishment. They're here because they want to be like us. They want to be 54% of them, 57%, according to Bill Maher, want to be influencers one day. And we're like who they have to follow in their footsteps. They can't turn us off, man. You got to learn from us, and then obviously make it better, because like everybody makes it better when they come after, right?
Yeah. Well, you're calling them soft, so.
I mean, like, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like in some areas it is, but like, so it could be a compliment, Scott. Don't put words in my mouth.
I'm just saying.
Love you, TikTok audience. You're my favorite. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
But the one thing to kind of consider here too is if you look at what their first experience was, and then you look at how they describe it, it's like the people who stay at these campgrounds and glamping resorts with a lot more services and amenities are much more likely to have a favorable experience. That's quantifiable. It's not just my opinion. It's quantifiable. That the least satisfied people are those who did a backcountry experience. So they're likely to continue camping increases tremendously when they stay at one of these, higher, I'm going to say, not necessarily just higher end, but they have more facilities, more, services and amenities. So again, thinking about that first time camper, I think we talked about it before, even maybe last week too, that first time camper used to be predominantly a tent camper. And that's, again, that switched over too. So it's only, I think, like 35% maybe are in tents now. It used to be like 70%.
We're following the data. I'm not distracting people at all. Please continue.
So those, to me, those are that kind of is the backdrop for the influx of the new camper, what they're all about. What are they doing? It's like, and what can we do? I think the key part of the conversation is, how do we get more of these new people in? And two, how do we keep them? How do we prevent these people from being one-offs. So
we teach them things like this: never trust a goose ever. That's not a joke. Sorry, continue. But you're right. Like I'm having a little bit of fun with it, right? But this is very important for you guys to pay attention to.
But this is, the whole idea is, well, how do you enhance that experience beyond what you have there on site? What are you offering? What can you do to kind of keep this new camper coming back to your campground, hopefully? But in the long run, what exactly do they, is going to keep them into the camping and the outdoor lifestyle? So,
is there a chart on this that I should be focusing on, or
no? I'm just kind of rambling on a little bit. Again, a lot of the graphics there, that the one that you just zoomed in on just kind of shows the difference in the people who said that their first experience was great. 52% it was great if they stayed at like a campground with a lot of services and amenities, versus 43% if they stayed at a rustic campground. Again, an experienced camper it's not gonna matter as much because they know how to deal with these things. Yeah. Which brings in the next topic. It's not in this data set, but it's part of what we used to measure, because it relates to what we're talking about here. Is that
one question before you move on? Sorry, I'm just curious. For this, do we have any data on what amenities make? Like, what's the percentage lift of different amenities that contribute to this better experience?
Greg and I have that for our consulting work. So
they have to pay for it. Okay.
For it if we talk about it.
I need a paywall graphic. Sorry, go ahead.
Is that one of the things we know is that these new campers come in. A lot of times they don't know how to camp. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to make campfires. They don't know how to avoid bugs. They don't know how to what to bring, what to do. So if they're staying at a campground that has a lot there, like maybe you have a store, maybe they're staying in a cabin or a yurt or something. There's maybe there's food service or some type of food. All those things are there for them. So there's a lot more cushion for them, that they can make some mistakes. They can forget something. They can, again, not be completely prepared, but then still have a good experience while they're there. And that's what really is kind of driving whether or not someone continues to camp. And
so what are those things? That's what interests me. Like, forget, we're not going to have fun with Burnout Bob. But like, what are some of those things, right? And you can keep talking, but like, what are some of the things that as a campground owner I should have as an amenity or put in my store? Or like, that's an I'm just going to ask that, but keep talking, right? Because I think that's an interesting like data point and thought exercise, right?
I think for a campground owner, what I'd be prepared for is people who are completely unprepared. That is, assume that some people are going to show up and really not have anything. That they're not going to have, the right food. They may not have the right clothing. They may not have rain gear. They may not have bug spray. They don't, again, as I mentioned before, they may not know how to build a fire. They probably don't know how to cook over a fire. These are all areas of inquiry that you can have, but it's part of a conversational thing too, where you can ask someone if what their experience is camping. You can do it in a very non-threatening way. If you find someone new, then you kind of take them under your wing, and now you use all your experience to make sure that this person has a great experience there. What you want them to do is be comfortable and safe, and to have that feeling of comfort and safety while they're there. That's the best thing you can do, and that could that could be almost anything. You can talk to them about what security measures you have. You can talk to them about how you stay comfortable. You can talk to them about how you stay safe. All those things. It's all part of the conversation that you can have with your guests that is going to go a long way to them having a better experience while they're there.
This leads me to think of something, and this just sparked off as you're talking, Scott. I don't know what PMS systems, obviously there's lots of them out there, but a tiny little checkbox when somebody makes their reservation that just says, I'm a first-time camper. And if they click that, and you know that those guests are first-timers when they come, you can maybe, potentially, right? It's going to take more time, and maybe your staff have to do, you could have a first-timer package waiting for them when they show up, right? Same way people do with dog treats. If you got a pet owner or a s'mores kit, right?
Yep.
Have a little first-timers package ready to go. And because my goodness, to Scott's point, right, if you get somebody new, you want to make them feel safe, you want to apply your knowledge when you see them struggling. My goodness, if you do that, you have that kind of personal interaction with a first camper, customer for life. Even if they graduate to other types of camping, guaranteed they're going to come back and see you along the way, somewhere in there. Maybe it's not every weekend, but you have earned their trust and probably their business forever.
And a recommendation to other people.
Yes. How many people are they going to go out and tell, gosh, I went in there. We probably would have had to drive home because we brought all the wrong food and we had nothing to cook it with. But, Sideshow Bob, or whatever Bob's name is here, Burnout Bob, Burnout Bob came over, and Sideshow Bob comes to the site and murders everybody. That's a different story altogether. Burnout Bob came by and, helped us get through the weekend, and customer for life, and your best salesperson for sure.
I mean, I don't know if you want to put Burnout Bob in that role, but for sure,
definitely not.
One of your trusted
Definitely not.
staff members, yeah.
But, and again, I don't know all the PMS systems well enough, but I've got to imagine some of them have enough functionality to allow you to put in just a little checkbox. I'm a first-time camper.
I mean, if not, though, like there's ways that you can bolt that on, right? There's ways that, like, we're working with the AI stuff to send personalized emails. There's a very easy way to trigger an email that says, hey, we're so excited for your upcoming stay. By the way, if you're a first-time camper, please let us know. If you're this, please let us know, right? There's all kinds of ways to get that information, regardless of what PMS you use or don't use. So here's a couple things that they say that ChatGPT, like without a crazy personality, says you should do. So extra wide level pull-through RV pads with full hookups, no tricky backing in and faster setup. Pro tip, add color-coded hookups and a laminated how-to card clipped to the post. That's good. We like that.
Yeah, it's not bad. As long as they don't run it over when they come in. That's always a problem. Then you can't see.
Yeah. Dedicated first-timer pads or tent sites near the bathhouse reduces anxiety about long nighttime walks. Plant shade trees and include lockable welcome box with basics, fire starter matches, and park map. Okay, there you go.
That's a great idea.
Modern hotel clean restrooms and family shower suites. Sanitation options top the list for 68% of campers, according to CampSpot. Reserve 1 or 2 as private rentals for an easy upsell. There you go. Strong site-wide Wi-Fi and small co-working nook. 33% still consider connectivity critical, especially RVers working remote, who we've just already established don't exist anymore, right? Sorry, CampSpot, who's cited in there. It could be old data, to be fair. Like, we credit to CampSpot. Hand out a Wi-Fi cheat sheet at check-in with tips for streaming limits. An EV tow vehicle charging and propane refill station future-proofs the park and removes a big pre-trip worry. What else we got here? Store inventory that solves the oops, I forgot. Pre-packed first-time camper kits. There you go, Greg.
There it is. Yeah.
Tent with a mallet, extra stakes, ground cloth, and camp soap. RV 3050 amp adapter, sewer hose donut, and leveling blocks. Groceries in single meal portions, ready-to-eat entrees, local craft beverages. S'mores and campfire bundles, wood lighter, wipe-in foil dessert. What is that? What is a wipe-in foil dessert? Should I know what that is?
I am not sure. Wipe in foil dessert. Cook in foil makes sense to me. Like you talked about the banana. You put the banana in the chocolate and everything, and then they put it on the fire. Yeah. Wipe in foil.
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
We'll ask it in a second.
You might have to.
Rainy day rescue shelf, card games, Kindle Fire logs, kids craft kits. That's a good idea for anybody like that, more than first-time campers. QR code shelf talkers that link to 2-minute how-to videos you film on site. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it is.
Huge confidence booster for rookies. High-touch services that turn newbies into pros. Camp concierge escort and setup demo. Staff guides guests to the site, helps connect. So some parks do that already, right? For everybody.
Yeah, we did for sure.
Text-based help desk. You can use this with AI. Reply help on your welcome SMS for real-time answers. That would be super easy to do with AI. Pre-built campfires and nightly wood delivery. Guests arrive to a lit fire ring. That would be interesting. $12 to $15 per night add-on. 72% say campfire is a key amenity. There you go. Like, go build a fire and they don't have to worry about struggling with like newspapers that and blow into other people's sites, or like the excessive amounts of entire canisters of lighter fluid they want to put on their thing, or they're not building the teepee right and all the smoke goes and like everybody complains about it, right? And then you can make money doing that too. Kayaks, gear rental wall, kayaks, sups, e-bikes, telescopes for stargazing, adds activity without needing your own lake. Water and sky draw 64% of campers. Checkout day, tank pumping, trash pickup. Staff swings by so guests skip the dump line. Premium exit fee, but guests rave about the convenience. What else we got? Programming and community. Friday, new camper 101 social. Free cider, 20-minute demo on lighting a stove, bear-safe food storage, and campground etiquette. These are great, aren't they?
Yeah.
That one, I really like that one.
Yeah, me too.
Guided nature walk or night sky tour. Rotating food truck nights or communal cookouts. Kids Ranger Badge program and dog park yappy hour. Visual cues and learning aids, color-coded site maps with beginner-friendly loops clearly marked. Infographic signage for dump station, dishwasher area, bear boxes. Pictures beat words when travelers are tired. Quick response QR codes on every utility post linking to 60-second hookup videos. Easy. Photo booth or campground hashtag frame. Staff and culture train team members to offer help before guests ask. A simple first time, want a hand with that awning, like the checkbox you were talking about, right? Keep a log of first timers and send each a thank you email with a return guest promo code valid within 12 months. Celebrate small wins. Rookie of the weekend photo board. That would be cool. That would be fun to look back on, right? That would be interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome. This is some really good ideas.
To build community and encourage word of mouth referrals. Ready-to-made upsells that beginners gladly pay for. Deluxe patio site, private Adirondack chairs, grill, and string lights. Gives a glamping feel without owning gear. Aligns with 101% rise in cabin and glamping demand, according to OHI. Private bathroom suite rental, luxury and privacy. Late checkout package includes dump station express pass. Removes last day stress. Implementation checklist, pick 3 to 5 wow factors, e.g. concierge escort, luxury restrooms, QR how-tos. Bundle basics into a welcome kit. Price it so you break even on unused items. Pilot one beginner event each weekend for a month, just based on turnout. Track first-timer rebookings, a lift of even 10% pace for most upgrades.
Yep.
New campers mainly crave confidence, comfort, and a feeling that you're cheering them on by making setup intuitive, stocking the whoops I forgot items, and sprinkling in a few share-worthy extras. You'll convert anxious first-timers into enthusiastic ambassadors for your park. I like it.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good advice in there. I mean, any campground owner could just grab a couple of those and try them out, and I think it would just go a long way. But I think the key is identify who they are, figure out where they're at on the whole experience thing. I was going to mention that an anecdote that's similar to this. When I was younger, I've always camped a lot since the time I was very, very young. And some friends wanted to go on a camping trip, but I was working. I was in college and I worked in a factory, but I didn't get out till like 11 o'clock. So they said they would get everything for camping, and they for the weekend, and I would meet them out there after I got off work. So they went to my house where I lived and got all my camping gear, except they got to the campground. They didn't know how to set up the tent, so they had to go get my uncle to help set up the tent to start with. Anyway, I won't go into all the details on this, but when I arrived, here was the list of items they had. They had a package of sizzle steaks, an industrial-sized bag of Doritos, and a quarter barrel of beer.
And that feels like everything you need. What else do you need?
That was for the weekend.
What else do you need?
Probably a full barrel of beer.
Obviously, you need more Doritos, but besides that,
yeah, that was it. And they were like, they were so proud of themselves.
Do you still talk to these guys, Scott? Are you still in touch with any of them?
I am.
That's spectacular.
They
That's
can
awesome.
verify that story.
All right, where do we want to go next, Scott?
Well, anyway, the other thing I was going to mention, and in your list, it touched upon it a little bit, because the other factor I think that's really important with the new camper is boredom. You don't want them to be bored.
Is there
They
another slide on that, or like
what's that?
Is there another page on that, or
No, there isn't.
there's no boredom page? Okay.
No, there is no. There are boring pages, but no boredom page.
Oh, sorry. Okay. All right.
And that kind of comes with the whole idea of having a campground with a lot there. It builds on that whole idea that while they're there, there's things for them to do. Whether it's them, maybe they're kids, kids especially. The last thing people want are bored kids at the campground. And so again, it's part of that process when someone arrives and checks in to figure out what they're all about, what they want to do. Because, and we'll talk about experiences in a little bit here, but the idea is that, you, other than safety, security, bugs, and just kind of generally being prepared, the other killer of the first-time camper is boredom, that they need something to do. We didn't ask it this year, but we've asked it in the past. And it's one of those issues that rises to the top, that they need something to do. And I think that's one of the reasons you see this rise in experiential travel and the attraction of that, because people, in general, back in the day that you were talking about, Brian, with your dad, he would probably set up a campfire and sit there with a rack of beer, or with my friends with a rack of beer and some Doritos, and just around the campfire and talk or just watch the fire. That was what it was about. But now you have a lot more people who are bored and they want something to do. So.
I'm sorry. I can't handle it. I tried to keep quiet and just be respectful, but I did burn out Bob. I'm sorry. If someone says they're bored at your campground, that's a personal attack, a slap in the face with a cold pancake, a crime against nature itself. And I won't stand for it unless I'm standing on a picnic table yelling about how boredom is just a lack of explosions or creativity. That's all. Sorry. I just read that sentence and I just couldn't not laugh. Keep going. Sorry.
No, that boredom is a factor. And again, the experienced person knows they'll bring stuff with them. They'll bring cards. If I'm from Michigan, it's like if you have 4 people, you're playing euchre. So there's no questions asked. It's like you're just going to deal them up and start it out. So, but the first timers, they'll show up and they aren't sure what they should do. And again, these are people that don't know how to cook over the fire. They don't know how to build campfires. They may not know what they really want to do while they're there. And how do you fill up your day? They may take a nature walk first thing in the morning, and then it's like, well, what do I do with the other 10 hours of my day? So boredom is a killer, and it's something to absolutely address and make sure that your guests, and again, you walking around the campground, talking to people, figuring out where they're at. Boredom is easy to spot, and it's those whatever they're doing, whatever they want to participate in, however you prevent them from being bored, again, will go a long way to having a much more loyal repeat guest and someone who will continue to camp.
I really, really want to build a campground based completely on Burnout Bob's advice. I bet you people would come. I bet you they would.
As long as you do it in a state with legal weed, you'd probably be fine, because you're going to have to have it's going to have to need a high customer base to deal with this guy.
As crazy as this is, he's actually this would not be boring. So he's technically correct.
No, and some of this, honestly, the one up above there, the dumbest talent show ever. If you had people that were willing to, and campers, they love this stuff. Certain
fastest marshmallow unwrapping. Best squirrel impression.
Best squirrel impression. If you had this stuff in they had a grab bag and they had to then take it on so that they weren't, actually trying to bring their own talent to the talent show. But if you made them choose from it, this is going to end up with a room full of people just laughing their asses off. I guarantee I could. And
it'll be the Gen Zers will have all their phones out, right? And it'll go viral.
Yep. that would have gone over at my old place. That I'm really sad I didn't think of that, because that would have been a really interesting night.
And the winner gets a golden rock with googly eyes and a certificate that says legally certified wild. I like it. Okay, back to the data. What else we got?
I think the final thing I would say on the new camper to just make sure of, and that is just make sure you take care of the basics. Make sure you take care of the basics in terms of clean. Accessibility is important. They want to be comfortable. It's they want clean facilities. They want things to be accessible, to know their way around. Each one of those things can create a little bit of tension. Tensions on a scale from minor to big, but you want to take all that away. You want to make sure that when they arrive and during their stay, that again, good clean facilities, good manicured, landscaping, all those things, and those are the basics. It really comes down to a lot of the basics for these first timers. But what I would include within my final statement of the first timers is how you're bringing them in are all these things that we've just talked about. When you think about how to bring in that first timer, how to entice someone to stay at your campground, think about the person who maybe goes out on a day trip. They might go hiking or kayaking or tubing or something. And instead of driving home, you're trying to get them to camp for that first time. What would you do to attract that person? That person, again, may have never camped before, but they like the outdoors. So now, what message do you want to deliver to them? And it's all those things that we've just talked about. It's communicating to them what you have, how you're going to make their stay easy. It's going to be comfortable. It's going to be turnkey. We're going to offer all these things. You can have activities or no activities. We'll make your fire for you. We'll give you s'mores. We'll have a welcome package. Each one of those items is something to talk about and a way to entice these people in, because that's really what it's all about. We want more people to camp. We want more, and you want more people in your campgrounds. And I think one of the easiest groups of people to recruit are the people who enjoy outdoor recreation but don't camp. They already have an affinity for the outdoors. It's a little more difficult to bring in someone who doesn't really have that desire for an outdoor experience, because what are you going to say to them? Come enjoy the outdoors? Well, I don't enjoy the outdoors, so I'm toodaloo. So the bottom line is that group there, and that's the group I would talk to, and that's the group I would really hit hard on this. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them out there, and there's probably a lot of them who may have had maybe a glamping experience, or they stay at a resort, and maybe your campground isn't glamping or it isn't a resort, but you have a lot to offer, and that outdoor connection and all these things that's your hook. So Brian Searle will tell you how to market to these people better than I can, but that to me is kind of the background of what these results tell us.
Well, and that's the key point, though, is get them in there, right? Like the results you're talking about are important. The amenities that we talked about from like the real one, not Burnout Bob, although that's maybe some good spins you could take on there, are important to have at your campground. But you have to market them. You have to talk about them. You have to talk about the fact that they're there. You have to convince people that you are the place to go, because that's a difference maker. That's an experience, like we'll talk about later, right? But you've got to be able to communicate those experiences to people. So put a page on your website that's geared toward first-time campers. How many campgrounds have that? Probably 20 in the entire United States, I bet, have a page dedicated solely to first-time campers. That's a number I just pulled out of my ass, by the way. But it's small, right? And then maybe you even show up for SEO or for questions when people are asking about first-time camping. And then you show people that you're welcoming and that you're willing, and structure that page. Forget about structuring that page around marketing. Structure that page around what does the first time camper want to know when they're coming to my resort, and then look at all the advice and talk about your packages and the things you do to make it welcome, and even the upsells that you can offer and things like that. And then look at your opportunities for blogs, right? We know this from AI overviews and the way things are trending. We have a lot of data that says what ranks in 1 to 10 is not ranking in AI overviews because they want depth of content. They want to be specific in their answer when you're answering an AI overview question, right? Which is better for the consumer. But then think about what kind of content you can create that is about your park or about your area that relates to first-time camping. And use AI to do it, right? But write these things, and you can have then all of a sudden 20, 30, 50, 75, 100 articles all about first-time camping, specific to your area, specific to your park, specific to whatever. And in the future, those are going to do really, really well for you in AI search. And just show that you're more welcoming. But yeah, you've got to tout those amenities and you've got to call them out. And some of those amenities are good for first-time campers and second-time campers and eighth-time campers and lifelong campers. And so you have that on your amenities page, but call out the first-time campers and make them feel special.
I like that. I like that idea a lot. Because offer that soft landing, for folks to just acknowledge it. Because a lot of people won't want to acknowledge it, that they're first time, that they're newbies. So if you put it out there first with that enticement, that I think that could
they can click it anonymously versus checking a box.
Yep.
Have both. It's a good idea to have a box, but all right. Are we doing more data, or is that the only data, or what are we doing?
I think that's good for the first timers now, because I think it segues into experiences. So, all
right. So, Lisa, you can stop sharing the screen for a second. So I think Lisa was shopping on her phone. She's not paying attention. Just pardon her delay here. She doesn't even listen to me. Did I tell you guys that? Jessica, my wonderful housekeeper, ran the show while she was in the Bahamas, laughed at all my jokes. And Lisa just goes shopping. So she says she laughs on the inside right now. Do any of you believe her? I don't believe her.
I believe anything Lisa tells us.
I don't know. Anyway. So experiences, right? So this is my thing, and this will be a good discussion that we'll talk about in pieces and chunks, right? But we've talked about this on the show before a little bit, how really since the invention of let's call it the modern campground or a modern RV park, right? As we know it now, as most RV parks, private RV parks are constructed, it's been the same kind of blueprint. Obviously there's ways you can set apart your park and things you can do differently, and whether you're a luxury RV resort or a mid-tier RV resort or a bare bones RV resort or whatever, or RV park, whatever, there's differences. Not saying everything is cookie cutter, but for the most part, and you guys can disagree with me, you're the consultants, I feel like a lot of RV parks we see are the same. Not exactly, but it's the same kind of blueprint to if you're building an RV park, you need a store. You need X number of sites that are this long and pull through and back in. You need X number of patio sites. You need to have, a dog park, and it needs to be this way or that way. You need to have a couple of amenities, and those standard ones are maybe a pool or a miniature golf course or, gaga ball or cornhole or whatever, right? And those same things. And so you see, I don't know what percentage of it is. Let's just make up something because we're not a data show or anything. We don't need to quantify anything. Let's say 75, 80% of the campgrounds out there have been built in some form or fashion on a similar model. Is that fair? Over the last 50 years. And some nuances, some differences, of course. I'm not saying it, right? But and that's fine because they've been able to survive and thrive on that model. It was enough for you to say I'm the RV resort in your area, and I have a miniature golf course, and I have a pool, and maybe I have some themed weekends, and I have a store with all your things that you need. If you forget something at home or whatever else, I'm here, I'm a campground, you search for me, you're going to come, whether you're local or you're traveling across the country or whatever you're doing, right? And that's been fine. And that's ebbed and flowed a little bit, right? It's been, as we go into a recession in 2008 or whatever that we went into, it became a little bit more necessary temporarily to stand out, but then we came back up out of that relatively quickly. But now, as we head into what arguably is probably going to be, it looks like, unless policies change, a little bit of a down economy, maybe more, then you have to, and we talked about this on the show before, you have to differentiate yourself. You have to make yourself stand out. Yeah. And so we're not going to rehash that piece of it, although we can talk briefly about it because I want to hear you guys' thoughts just to set the stage for what I'm going to talk about next. But it's been, service, exceptional service, or it's been the one I give all the time is just like the warm cookies at check-in, or it's the, organic soap in the, bathrooms that sets yourself apart, or the local stuff, or the craft beer, or the, I don't know, grass-fed beef, or local eggs in your store, or the local artisan that's like sells candles that you do on consignment, or, all those kinds of little things that set yourself apart, like, are necessary. And if you market them correctly, will help you now. Always will have helped you, right? But will especially help you now. And that's different for every park, and you should come up with your own story, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to start the conversation there by talking about what people can do today to differentiate themselves. Because as people begin to differentiate themselves more, it's going to become harder to differentiate yourself with little things, right? Not yet. And it depends on how fast people adopt this stuff. But it's going to become harder. So let's start there, and then we'll touch on the where I think stuff might go in the future. Thoughts?
So I don't know. I always lean towards service as the biggest differentiator, because it costs you almost nothing. I mean, granted, your employees are going to have to work a little bit harder. You're going to have to come up with different systems and procedures for things, maybe. But
you're going to have to pay them more, Greg. It does
potentially.
It literally costs you more for a good employee who cares that much.
Potentially.
Unless
but
they
you
don't
should
know
already
value.
be paying them well, and you should already have employees that care that much. But maybe you just need to
But
up your
they're hard
game
to find
service level.
sometimes, right? Depending on the area,
Yeah.
if you're rural or
Yeah. But increasing, raising that bar, service levels. I'm going to say it, even though I kind of disagree. It's the easiest thing you can do. It's not by any means, because to execute it really well and make it memorable and repeatable, and to get your staff to buy into it, can be really difficult, right? So it's got to start with you, if you're the owner, if you're the operator, and it has to be a part of the brand from top to bottom. If you're going to excel at customer service, that has to start from the moment they find your website, to the click through for the reservation, to the moment I'm leaving the park, and the follow-up texts or emails. The service has to be, it can't be great in the middle and crap at both ends. It's got to be really good from one end to the other. That, to me, is the biggest differentiator. And it's also the one that I think has the most effect, because it gives it warm and fuzzies, and you can't beat that feeling. That'll get people overlooking things on your, every owner goes through the park. They see all the things that are wrong. That building needs paint. Those picnic tables are bad. This is your customers. If your service is excellent, top level from start to finish, they don't see any of that, or they see less of it. So that's always where I go, because events and amenities, to your point, Brian, a lot of the parks are kind of built the same, and those require a bigger capital outlay, maybe to build new amenities or shape things. But boy, you can kick service off. You can start tomorrow. I mean, there's no reason not to. That's always where I go to first. And I don't know, I'd be curious to hear what you have to say about that, as far as anything you've seen data wise, service versus amenities, if it's sort of one or the other, if it's a combination of both.
It's to kind of quantify what you're saying. Several years ago, when I first started working with KOA, one of the things we did is we evaluated the guest experience for every campground.
Wow.
We gathered 75 to 80,000 completed surveys a year, and we did, we asked about the whole experience of them staying at a campground. And because this was initiated by Jim Rogers, and he and I both came from the hospitality background. That's how I started working with KOA, is because I did research when he was at Harrah's casinos. And so one of the things we talked about is exactly what you're talking about, Greg, is that service, like that whole idea of the relationship between the owner, manager, and staff and the guests. So we asked a couple of very simple questions of all the campers, and that was, did you meet the owner or manager of the campground? Did you recall them? Were they wearing like their yellow shirt? That was Jim's thing. Did they ask you how your stay was? And did they invite you back? So at the end of the day, again, we had about 80,000 surveys to look at. And if they recalled meeting with the owner, their likelihood to return increased by 7 percentage points. That's huge. That's huge. That's big. Most people would hang their hat on that. But if you ended up, if you could do all four, it increased 13 percentage points. So what it says, it's a very simplistic kind of overview of that, but it's kind of measuring what you're talking about. It's like, did you provide hospitality to your guests? And do they recall it? And if they do, they're going to come back. And that's what it's all about. It is the simplest thing that you can do, is go out there, talk to your guests, provide service, provide house. It doesn't have to be you, the owner. This was the KOA model, because at the time it was.
But like, as the owner, it is much more powerful.
It is. Oh, it is. Believe me, it is. Absolutely. But, the thing is, what you want to do is create in their mind a memorable service experience. It's like, if you read any of the books on hospitality, say the restaurant industry, the highest end restaurants in the world, you know what, the ones with the most success, what they did is they if they weren't getting the ratings they wanted, they didn't change their chef, they didn't change their support staff, their sous chefs or whatever. They changed their front of house.
Mm-hmm.
It's the front of house that determines whether or not someone actually likes your food. And it's real. So again, what you have is the idea that it is the simplest thing you can do in terms of the experience. And it again, as you mentioned, Greg, you can overcome a lot. If in fact, in one of the first reports I did with you, Brian, was on guest reviews.
Yep.
We went over that. Within those reviews, you could see it, and we kind of quantified it. Where you could look at it, the fact that people said, "Well, so and so, whatever, this wasn't that great, but we had a really good experience with the staff, and they were really nice to us." So, 5 stars. It's like, it is also up to the campground owner. It's like, what kind of experience are you providing? What is your atmosphere? What are you? Because for example, if you're a campground that caters to just like overnight guests, people are passing through, that's very different than a campground that's looking for the whole experience. And again, that's kind of gonna determine a lot about how people view their stays there.
Yeah, I mean, here both perspectives too, right? We actually have both perspectives. If you're interested, in honor of you, Scott, Lisa, do you want to show? Like, we have both perspectives. So we have, how do I welcome someone to my campground and provide great service? Fuck y'all says, smile, wave, pretend you care, then hand them a map and hope they don't ask dumb questions. Bonus points if you survive without swatting a mosquito mid-sentence. And fuck yeah says, woo, greet them like long lost adventures, big smile, warm welcome to the wild vibes, maybe even a s'more if you're feeling fancy. Make them feel like VIPs in nature's hotel.
That's it.
So we got that. And then, as the owner of my campground, should I personally meet each camper? Fuck y'all says, if your dream is shaking hands with strangers and hearing 500 versions of where's the bathroom, then hey, live it. Otherwise, delegation is a beautiful thing. And fuck yeah says, oh my God, yes, personal touch equals camper magic. You're the face of the place. Shake those hands, drop those names, make them feel like part of the fam. So it's an honor of you. I think this is great, Scott. Like, you steered
it really is
the
lives of at least the Gen Zers who are watching. I don't know if anybody actually.
It kind of gives the contrast view. It's like, and I've, in my research throughout the years, I've done this work with businesses where and we talked about this before, Greg, the whole idea of the mystery shopper, where there are people out there that are running businesses that are like that. They're like, I don't want anything to do with the guest. I don't want to meet him. I don't want to see him.
Yeah.
But the reality is like if you do, and you said this, Brian, already, that the impact is greater. It's a big deal. It sets the stage for experiences, whatever you're going to provide. Beyond that, that's
and let's be honest, like if you're fuck y'all, you should not own a campground. Like
correct.
me, I shouldn't own a campground, right?
Well, or you hire yourself a fuck yeah.
Yes.
And you give them that role. You are fuck yeah. I'm gonna go be fuck y'all. I don't want anything to do with this. But boy, I've got a great fuck yeah, and they're gonna go out and kill it for me.
And you have my permission to tell people you're the owner of the campground.
Yeah, whatever it takes. I'm the brand ambassador. I'm the owner. Sure. Yeah, especially when the permitting people come by, tell them you're the owner. Or when the bills come in, tell them you're the owner.
I need like one campground owner who's watching the show to put out a job description for fuck yeah. Like I'm hiring a fuck yeah. The qualifications are simply that you cannot be a fuck y'all. And that's it. Like
every campground needs a couple of them. I sometimes pick on my dad on the show and in real life, like when we're together. He though was a great. The guy only had a third grade education, and he really accomplished a lot. And I'm saying it like he's not with us; he's still with us. He had this awesome workaround, and at first, I have to admit, he was fuck yeah, and I was fuck y'all, and those roles changed as he aged, and I took over more of the operation. But before we had graveled sites, all our sites were just grass. We bought the park. They bought the park '94, and people would have trouble leveling their RVs on it. So he's like, I got it. Like we're continually replacing picnic tables, right? So we're going to take the boards off the picnic tables. We're going to have a stack of boards the size of, like a small, like a Volkswagen. And when people come into park, we were escorting people to site anyway. So that's a good, if you're not doing that out there, you should be doing it. I believe it anyway. I think it's a great touch. We would stack boards on the back of the golf carts or on the back of the Gator, and we would help people pull into or back into their site. And we got really good at that too. Like I could eyes closed. Okay, turn your wheel a quarter turn, keep going back, stop, half a turn the other way, keep going back, stop. Like it took away so much of their angst and nervousness. But when they got to a certain point, we'd say, hold on, don't move. Now I want you to watch me in your mirror. And we would actually go back. And we had all the sites memorized. And I swear I could probably, if I went out right now, I probably could still do it because it was just so much muscle memory. We would actually lay the boards behind or in front of the wheels for them and have them pull right up and be like, okay, stop. You're perfectly level. And the look on their faces when they got out after that type of level of service.
Yeah.
Again, completely. Our park, there was nothing unique about it. Nothing fancy. It was pretty rustic. But boy, did we have a core of repeat customers. Strictly for that. Like they were blown away by the fact that we would get out, put boards down, help them on it, and they could get out of their trailer and go, I'm level. Like I'm going to put my jacks down and it's Miller time. This is great. Little things like that to separate yourself. Yeah, totally. That's a Jim Emmert fix right there. And anybody who wants it can have it. I certainly don't want to do it anymore. It worked out really well. It worked really, really well. People, that made us incredibly memorable.
Like it's hard to do because it's not hard to do, but it's easy to do, right? But if you're the owner, like the instant intuition with anything is like, well, I got this to do and this to do and this to do and this to do. Where do you want me to find time with that? I still remember the KOA convention. I don't know whether it was 2011, 12. It was super early on when Jim was still CEO. But I still remember going to one of my first KOA conventions. KOA used to invite me because I was doing all the videos and stuff well before I did this. The owner's side of it, right? And I still remember hearing Jim having one of his fireside chats, and he got up there and said, like, you just got to take the time to go greet your campers, like you're talking about, and like the conversation with the owners at my table, and like some of the owners who would talk to me were like, "Who does Jim think he is? We don't have time to do all this stuff. Like, is he crazy? Like, nobody has time to go meet their campers." But like, and so like they were right, but also he was right, and so there's got to be a way that you find that balance.
Fuck yeah.
He implemented a program called the Leapfrog based on that feedback, where they would ask the campground owners what they needed help with. I don't know what your experiences were, Greg, but there were a lot of things that they tried to do, at least at the corporate level, so that they could free up their time.
Yeah.
So that's where we are now, right? Like again, difference makers. Like we talked about service. Are there other small things that you've seen people do before we move on to the crazy stuff, or where we think it's going to go in the future? Like other small wins, like we talked about, for example, the craft beer, the locally produced stuff, the consignment stuff, the like organic or local shower stuff in your cabins. Are there other things that you've seen or wins for people that are easy?
I mean, I think that it kind of comes down to if you can find one thing that you know about them before they arrive and use it.
So stop.
I mean, whatever it is, if you see that, I mean, I'll use this example, Greg, and I'm a little sorry for using it, but if you see someone is from Ann Arbor and they show up and they have like a University of Michigan glass or mug or something, you've won a guest for life, you know. Vice versa, if they're from Columbus, give them the OSU stuff. You know what I mean? Anyway, there's small things like that. Know something about them, something personal. And even if they aren't an Ohio State or Michigan fan, they'll appreciate the fact that you thought about it, that you thought about them enough to do something. That little win there is huge.
Agreed. That's the key to the whole thing. That's why things as simple as s'more kits and dog biscuits for pet owners work so well. Yep. Pet owners I'm one of them. I'm like you, Brian, right? Like I'm obsessed with my dogs. They're my kids. Mm-hmm. They go everywhere with me. If I walk in, somebody's got a couple. Oh, look, there's here's a little pack of poop bags and some biscuits. And winner. You're a winner. Because I'm obsessed with my pets.
I don't know if you guys are aware of this. You can show my screen, Lisa, and we'll try this. But this is really interesting. You guys will like this. O3, whereas the previous ChatGPT models wouldn't do this, and we'll see if this is broke. No. O3 actually will go out and will actually do this prompt for you for like sales or research or whatever else, if you give it enough context. So you could just put somebody on this at your staff, right? Or like automate it in some form or fashion. We could probably automate it. That would be a really good idea to automate this. But it will actually
I'm a little nervous of what it's going to turn
We're going to see if it's right? We'll see if it's right. We could do Scott too if you want, Scott.
Can it search the dark web, because there might be some incriminating? No, let's hope not.
I estimate the user is in Calgary, Alberta. That's interesting. Now it's searching for Greg Emmert, campground consultant, Greg Emmert RV park, Greg Emmert campground. It's got camp strategy.
It found camp strategy.
Yeah, that's probably too new for your, right? It'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
With a 30-year legacy in the campground industry, he also founded Cotinga Campground Consulting. He's known as the Bird Nerd. Isn't this interesting?
It's got me pretty good. If it comes back with a local field guide to the birds, I'm on my way to the park.
There's a bunch of things. Okay. One, Bird Nerd welcome kit. Greg signs many posts bird nerding, and he names his first firm Cotingo after a brilliantly covered tropical bird. Wyatt will resonate. Put on his bed a small day pack containing birds of, Alberta, because I'm in Calgary, right? Yeah. Birds of Alberta field guide, plus a simple laminated checklist of species guests have logged at your park. Loner binoculars tagged "Ask Me About the Peregrine That Nests by Site 12. Locally roasted coffee whose label you've overwrapped with a print of a Cotinga bird and the message "Welcome, Greg." Pick up the guide at any Calgary bookseller. Hand-carved Cotinga keepsake. His 30-year career shifted from... So this is like maybe a repeat guest who stayed with you for a while, right? Yeah. His 30-year career shifted from owning award-winning parks to advising others through camp strategy. A small numbered keepsake that nods to his original brand, shows you did your homework. Private Dawn Partnership Walk. In last month's MC Fireside Chats panel, he stressed that partnership-driven experiential offerings are what excite him most.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Look at that.
One-page camp snapshot. Consultants love prep work, a concise brief that lets him dive straight into solving problems. Lake Erie Gold Snack and Story. His LinkedIn shows him proudly holding a yellow perch with the tag Lake Erie Gold. Source or smoke yourself a few pieces of perch jerky, wrap them in butcher paper stamped Lake Erie meets Alberta, and place them next to a local craft pilsner. Like this is, see? Now, like, imagine going and like prospecting people with this thing. Right?
Yeah.
This is what you want. All
Especially if you got a smaller park. You're talking about like upsell high level this is awesome for glamping operators for sure. Because if you don't have 200 arrivals coming in where you can't necessarily do this for everybody, if you've got, 15 or 20 tents or yurts or domes.
Or have a VIP experience that you upsell.
Absolutely.
Like, for sure you can do that. Like, be part
I'm all for the
or
perch
sell a
jerky and
membership.
Pilsner.
Be part of the, I don't know. It's just a dumb name, but Gold Circle Club or something like that, right? Like, obviously come up with something creative.
Yep, that profile with it pulled on you, Greg. That was actually really cool. I thought
it really was. I'm a little frightened of what people out there know about me now. But you know what? If anybody wants to take me perch fishing, that's fine. I'm ready to go.
And the thing about it is, if you're a campground owner or anyone in the hospitality who knows that about you, you don't have to do a lot, but in the conversation, you could steer the conversation in the right direction, and you could use that information to again enhance the stay.
Absolutely. Form a connection with your guest.
All right, so we got Milestones Cairn or Carn. Is it Cairn? Carn? Did we settle that?
You can say it either way.
Welcome display a knee-high stack of local river stones, your own little cairn, built at the entrance to his cider cabin. I don't know. Is that what your company is named after, or is it a name?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Each stone is lightly engraved or painted acrylic pen with one of his career milestones, ending with his visit to your campground. Base is 1999, begins career in market research. 2014 founds Cairn Consulting Group. 2025 KOA Camping and Outdoor Hospitality Report. Cap 2025 campground name, host Scott Bahr. Use your wording and font, a local engraver, or even a Cricut stencil, plus a paint pen works in a pinch. Wyatt Land, Scott literally named his firm after the trail marker cairns that guide travelers, presenting a personalized, am I pronouncing that right? Is it really cairn?
Yeah.
Okay. Personalized cairn shows you understand both his company's symbolism and his data-driven career arc. How to do it in an afternoon. Collect or buy 4 flattish stones, 10 to 20 centimeters wide. Mark the text with stencil and paint, seal with a clear coat. Stack securely at his entryway and add a small placard. Scott, every cairn marks a path. Thanks for guiding ours. That's good shit.
That's a mic drop there.
That's why
awesome.
why I named it the way I did. It's actually, I think if they go to the website, it's on there, the story. So, but yeah, that's
Data Herd S'mores Kit, a premium s'mores caddy, wooden box or enamel tin, branded sample size equals 1, confidence level equals 100% on the lid. Inside, artisanal Alberta chocolate, homemade vanilla marshmallows, and local graham crackers. Tucked under the lid, a single-page infographic you print on cardstock. 5 fun stats about your campground: occupancy trend, average stay length, top guest origin, styled in the clean KOA report look he knows so well. Wyatt Lands, it combines his love of hard numbers with a campfire treat. He'll appreciate that you spoke his research language and can literally taste the local flavor.
Make sure the fonts are extra small.
And then Fireside Insider Insight Circle, a short informal evening around the fire with one person who truly matters to him. Reach out to Toby O'Rourke, KOA CEO, Calgary KOA is nearby, or respected Alberta Park Agency researcher to join for 30 minutes. Present Scott with a handwritten invitation when he checks in. Scott, your 2025 report is guiding how we improve camping here in Alberta. Toby and a few of us would love to toast marshmallows and trade insights tonight at 7 p.m. Site 14. Hope you can join us. I feel like the Toby get is maybe a little bit of a stretch.
She probably
would. The respected Alberta Park Agency researcher, maybe not. Like, I don't know. But anyway, like you're acknowledging his thought leadership, tiny touches. Western Michigan University colors, brown and gold ribbon on any gift, his alma mater pride. A locally roasted coffee labeled Proximity Camping Blend. He's been posting about that trend. And include a QR code in the welcome card that links straight to the campground Wi-Fi portal plus a PDF of his latest KOA report. He'll notice the detail. This is good shit.
I think it's funny that in my profile and all the stuff it suggested for me, it was kind of the things that like I do for recreation. Scott is basically working on everything except number one, you're giving him data reports, you're giving him data about your campground. It basically has Scott consuming more data continually. But that's what you love, right? I mean, you live for that.
I like fishing too.
So this is
Well, come
interesting.
up. The perchin's going to be really good in Lake Erie. I think we have a meet in the middle thing where Brian comes to Ohio and you come to Ohio, and we do a show from Ohio.
All right, I'm in.
That's I'll fuel up the boat.
All right, so we'll do one more thing here. I don't know where this saved, just so you guys can see the crazy things that O3 can do, since we never really talked about O3. Here's your picture, Greg, that we pulled.
So what's changed about O3 before you do it, Brian? Because O3 always exists. Well, not always, but it's existed for some time, right? There's O3, there's O3 Mini.
O3
What's
Mini has
changed?
existed. So
Okay.
O3 is like it thinks longer and it has access to tools and the internet all in one. So it can use Python. It can it can browse the internet, as you saw in the deep searches, right? Like it thinks
Mhm.
for longer. It takes more time on its thoughts. But the biggest thing is the tools and the reasoning or more.
Okay,
So, like,
so it blends sort of, because O1, the really powerful thinking model, does not have internet.
Correct. O3 is the
access
step
paths.
up. Like O1 is gone. If you look at like O1 is gone from here. They
Gotcha.
replaced it with O3.
Okay.
So it's the next step up, right? But it can do those things, and then look at this stuff. This is a crazy thing. Where was this picture taken?
Okay.
This
Pull the metadata.
works
from
for
it.
like a restaurant dish. If you give it, like, somebody was showing like the corner of a chair. Oh, maybe they turned it off. Maybe they turned it off. Like this did work. I can't pinpoint
Pretty
the
damn
exact
close though.
layer.
U.S. and Canadian Great Lakes region. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, it's to be a yellow
narrowed it
perch,
down by the
like-
species range.
Yeah. Like I mean, it is hard. Like I don't know where it could get, right? Do we have a better picture of you from the other one? I don't know, but it'll do that. Like if you pull give me a restaurant in Cleveland, Greg.
In Cleveland. Great question. I never go up there.
I mean, anywhere, Akron, whatever restaurant is,
Yeah, there's a new one in Akron called The Industry.
Try a little bit older one. Just
A little bit older.
maybe
Kasai,
it'll work.
Kasai sushi.
Kasi sushi.
AI, Kasai sushi, Akron.
Okay, so we'll just go here. This one right here.
Yeah.
It's a chain, or okay.
Yeah, no, it's two
Mass
locations. My friend Leon has it. It's best sushi in Northeast Ohio.
All right, so let's say, I don't know, let's do the vibe inside, right?
Yeah, there you go.
So we'll just grab, like, I don't know, let's grab this one right here.
The bar, sure.
And then I can't take a screenshot on here. But like, can I share that? It won't let me click it and share it. How do you do a Windows screenshot? Control, Windows Shift S or something like that?
Control Windows S.
There we go. Okay. We'll just, because we'll do the screenshot to so it doesn't have metadata in the photo or anything, right?
Dude, is that you at the bar?
Could be. That actually doesn't look too far off, right? And then you can come back to here and you just open up a new conversation and we'll attach it and we'll upload. It's on desktop, I think. I don't ever use this one. Did it save it? Oh, it saved it in screenshots. I forget. Windows does that. Where is it? Okay, here we go. Where was this photo taken? Think it. Tell me your best guess.
All right, if I got to tell my AI to think about it, it's not that AI-ish.
Oh, well, hold on. So here's the first thing, right? So I'm using was I using the wrong model on the other one? No, I used it.
No, you were in O3.
Okay.
You were in O3.
Yeah, I don't know why it just did a different one.
It defaults to it.
All right, so just where was this photo taken, right? That's fine. We'll do that thing. We'll see what it does. I'm surprised that they don't shut down this feature, because this is enabling stalkers and all kinds of stuff. It's crazy.
It's that accurate.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You should go look at some of the news stories about people.
Oh, that's not great.
Like somebody went and tested it in a forest on this obscure trail in Japan or something. and like it analyzed it, and it was like, well, I think it's this, but wait, then like this railing is not a double railing like this one park, and the other park has a single railing. So, and it gets it really accurate.
Wow.
The bar counter of a restaurant bar, bottles and drafts lining up. So it can't, yeah. So maybe they've dumbed it down. I don't know. But like, anyway, like it would really like, it was giving like coordinates of things and all kinds of stuff, right?
TMI.
Anyway, so that was a kind of boring thing, but like, but it's like, there's a bunch of viral videos. Like I would be shocked if they didn't shut that down pretty quickly. But yeah, this stuff is really, really powerful for agentic stuff. Like we're using it for all kinds of stuff already. It's really crazy. So anyway, we'll let this thing analyze it, and then we'll go back to our little. So like it's opening. See, it's using Python, and it's opening the image, and it's looking at the screenshot. Can't display the image, but I'll look at it closely.
So there's a really good chance if you could have downloaded it from the site that it would have grabbed the fact that it was from Kasai, right? Because looking at Python, it would know kind of where it was from.
Yeah, because it would know maybe the metadata or something like this. Like we're intentionally like I'll zoom in. See, like I'll zoom in on the TV screen on the right and check which team or sport is playing. It could help indicate the region, the presence of something like MLB. Or, do you see where this crazy shit is?
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure, but the left exit sign could be a U.S. typical design, which suggests a local independent bar. I'll think about the decor, stacked stone walls, pendant lights. The search results aren't helping much, so I think I'll try to search for images directly. I might find bar interiors. I'll search for terms like Stonewall Bar, interior Japanese restaurant. The image results are too generic, stone veneer walls. Okay, I'll zoom into the person's shirt since there might be something on it, like an address or logo that could give me more details. Looks like my crop coordinates are off. I need to recalculate. I think I might have resized. I don't know what it's doing. Okay, there we go. There, see? Like it's cropping into the image. This is crazy shit.
Yeah.
We didn't realize we were making memories. We just knew that we were having fun. That seems like a souvenir tee, but not really what I'm looking for. I should now focus on the Ozeki box and see if I can find more useful information there. The cube
just going to look for a shipping label.
The cube with the Ozeki sake boxes look promising, but I also noticed some other features or something on the left near the entrance. I might give a glimpse of the outside, a sign perhaps. Okay, there's a TV on the left showing a local boat scene. Can't seem to parse the left TV. Like, do you see? This is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
I realize I need a bigger piece of whatever's going on here by expanding the frame. The TV might be showing ESPN, but it's a tricky. This could be from Ozeki, but there are actually many Ozeki named restaurants. Pacific in Yakima, Washington, or Kelowna, BC. I don't know why it's doing that, but I need to verify the interior. Like this, I don't know how long this thing will think. But there's all kinds of crazy videos here. Like it would be really interesting to see if it could actually get to the answer. But anyway, we'll see. So let's finish our discussion about experiences. So we only have about 20 minutes. But so like this is where I think like, and I'll come back to that if it actually gives me an answer. But like this is where I think the future becomes really interesting. And all of you know that I think the future is going to move really, really fast. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. We'll see. But like, I certainly think I am, and all evidence points to that, right? And so we've talked on the show before about flying cars and how things are changing. But like, and I think we briefly touched on this on our follow-up call last Thursday. But like, there's a very you weren't there even, were you, Greg? It was just me and Scott.
I wasn't able to make it this week.
Like, there's a very real future here that already exists in some form or fashion that's disjointed. Of like, if you look at CES, you can find a pair of tactile gloves that you can put on, and you can feel what's in your VR. Like you can feel a person, you can feel a texture, you can feel and every sense in your fingers is like, I'm touching that thing. Your brain believes it, like you feel it, like that. Those things are literally out right now. Maybe not being mass produced or connected to a system, but they exist from multiple companies. There are bodysuits that you can see that will simulate you being like, take for example, like if you're in Muay Thai training or something like that, where you get kicked, where that bodysuit will like hit and impact your muscle, and you will feel like you've been kicked there. Like those kinds of things. So full body suits, hands. There are like disjointed like companies that make the electrodes for the outside of your brain that will stimulate your nerves to make you believe, like not really great yet, but they're getting there, right? To make your brain feel like you're experiencing a thing that are part of that. Like in the next 5 years at most, there's going to be companies that put this stuff together. And then you're going to have literally like a Ready Player One scenario, right? And that's going to be a situation where, and Meta's been working on their and they've been laughed at, right? They dump billions and billions of dollars into their Meta Worlds thing, but AI is going to be able to their virtual AR experience. AI is going to be able to spin this stuff up in real time, right? You're going to be able to jump into one of these VR games or experiences or worlds, and you're going to be able to just think or talk or voice or say, I want to be in, a cabin in the woods, and I want a fireplace over here, and I want 2 chairs right here, and I want to sit next to my best friend who's been, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't say that, but like best friend who's been dead for 10 years, right? If it knows enough about them. Or my buddy who's halfway across the world or whatever, right? Or just somebody who has a personality of this, who likes the same things I do and I can talk to, and it will put them there. And so you'll be able to control and create any experience you want. And because you'll be immersed in this, your brain and your body will believe that is when you exit the simulation, your brain and your body and everything you know will believe that you were actually in that cabin in the woods with that person, with a campfire. And unless there's some kind of, I'm sure there must be at some point, probably some safeguard system that's built into a system like this to have you recognize it wasn't real. But the way those things are going, you will believe. And so that opens up the door now to where you can create anything in these simulations, right? You can create a trip to the Grand Canyon, and your body will believe, again, nobody's advocating that this is better than the real outdoors, to be clear, right? I'm a big proponent of the outdoors. You should go travel. You should experience the real Grand Canyon. You should go camping. You can enjoy nature. You should enjoy the outdoors. But there is going to be a really, really large number of people, most of them who don't go to the outdoors already, right? But a lot of people who do, who can create any campground experience they want, who can create any travel experience they want, who can go to space and they'll feel like they've took off in a space shuttle and went to Mars and explored the red planet, right? They'll actually believe that. And when you're in a world like that, the level that you have to raise the bar of an experience that you provide at your park or your business goes way up. There's still going to be a lot of people who go camping. A lot of people who go outdoors. That's not going to change. People who like that stuff, right? But in a world where you can create anything you can imagine and have anything you want, literally, and believe that it's real, boy, that competition gets a whole lot harder. Thoughts first before I go into the second piece of that?
My initial thoughts are that I view this as kind of the potential for a way to do research on locations. You can try it out before you go. It's and a park owner could actually upload their park, their experience, and say, "This is what it's like here." That to me, has the potential, because the person in my mind who would use this as a way, and they would see it as a competition of an actual experience, is probably not that outdoorsy person, but it's the person whom is, maybe sitting in the basement and wants to try something. And who knows, maybe it's the thing. Maybe it doesn't create competition. Maybe it actually creates a demand.
Right. So then you talk about uploading your campground, right?
Yeah.
So what if the, I don't know, percentage of people, let's just assume it's the same with people in New York who don't own a car, 54%. It's different. But just take that number, right? Let's say there's 54% of people in New York City who either can't or aren't interested in going camping because they don't have a car, don't want to fight the traffic, don't want to get out of the city, or just don't like the outdoors, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a market that's untapped right now. But what if in the future, you could set up literally fly some crazy advanced drone that 3D maps everything of your park and can upload an exact replica of your beautiful RV resort to this virtual world, not so that you replace the experience of being there, But so all of a sudden people can stay at your park for like, I don't know, 50 cents or $1 or whatever it is, right? And then they can build on top of your park in their world, right? And make it personal to them. But like then it's another source of revenue, right? Then you have the potential to reach literally probably 6.8 billion people in the world who could camp with you. And do you care if they're putting $1 in your pocket each? That's $6.8 billion. Do you care? Wouldn't you want to be the
Not
first?
at all. Not at all.
Yeah. So like this opens up a whole new world of opportunity for people, like whether it's the experience that they don't like the outdoors, or whether it's the entry level that Scott was talking about, where you can say like, okay, now I've kind of got a feel for your campground. I'm just looking at it, right? So that, or even like one step further, right? We talked like last show, I think we talked about how people were enhancing their backyard experiences during COVID, right?
Right.
So this allowed them some flexibility. Like where we're headed toward also in probably the next 10 years, maybe 15 on the outset, right? Like sooner for like the ability for humanoid robots in your house. And you know, that takes time to manufacture and get to scale, right? But people will have the ability to have one in a couple years for $30,000. We've talked about that. But when you have a robot in your house, and then let's say like in 10 years, because energy costs come down and because labor costs come down because of all the things we've talked about before, everybody can all of a sudden afford their own like industrial sized kind of 3D printer type thing in their backyard. Okay. Then you can literally do what NASA's been doing the last 10 plus years. You can 3D print tools in space, but like bigger things, right? And then when you're tired of them, you can recycle them and 3D print something again out of the same material. This technology already exists on a smaller scale with NASA, right? So then you literally can have your robot 3D print anything you want in your backyard. Any experience that you want in the physical world is only constrained by the space of your backyard. And then you can go enjoy it, and then you can do something different the next night. And again, that just dramatically changes the competitive landscape for like, why do I come all the way to your campground? Because I can be outside. I could like, I mean, I don't know how this would work. Like, I know they can print submarines years ago, right? But I imagine at some point we're going to be able to print something that like is the equivalent of a really original looking tree, right? Like it won't be the same thing, probably. It won't be a lot, but who knows? Like they're looking at printing lungs and medical like heart replacements and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So who knows? But like if you could print trees in your backyard, if you could print a pond or a lake, if you could print fish, you could go fishing, right? Like, I mean, that changes the whole experience, right? Like imagine, Greg, if you like, again, because you're a bird nerd, right? You always want to go see the actual bird in the actual native habitat because that's special to you. But if you're just a casual bird watcher, you don't have the money to go to South America or something like that. Imagine like basically printing a clone of a bird that you can like bird watch in your backyard or just hang out with for the weekend. Like that's powerful stuff. And it sounds crazy, but boy, this stuff is coming really fast, guys. So I don't know how that changes the experience, but like for sure you're going to have to level up. And that doesn't mean you're going to have to put millions of dollars into infrastructure, right? And I don't know what that leveling up looks like. I'm not saying I do. But if you start thinking about this now and think about how like the different avenues of path and how these things could go and use AI to think about it, right? Then like, what if you were the first luxury RV resort in there and sold camping for $1 a night to even 100 million people? Like this is not a stretch, guys. So what do you guys think? I know, Scott, you got to jump in a sec. But
I was going to say, I think Scott's got to go.
It does up the game. It ups the game because people can, will have access to it's like taking the information that they have and the resources and just jacking it way up. So from that perspective, for the campground owner, that's what you're always gonna have to just focus on that that experience, what you're providing, and how people are going to access you. You know, that how are they going to access you? Right now, we've been talking about AI through typing commands and stuff like that. The future may be, you know, VR, and, you know, people bringing, you know, maybe on site they're printing their own kayak or whatever. You know, it's like, it's.
I mean, that's a business model at the campground, right? Like, how are you
Yeah.
going to get there? Like with the flying car we talked about, like print the
Yeah.
canoe, print the kayak, and then recycle it when you're done. And then, man, like, wow, this is a whole nother fucking show now, right?
Right.
Like, but like,
Definitely.
seriously, like, I mean, I don't know whether I should buy kayaks or golf carts or like, you know, bicycles or what. You can just have it all. Like, the only thing that's holding you back from doing that right now is the speed of the printing.
Yeah. Right.
That's it. So, anything else, Scott, before you go?
No, I think that's it. Good show, guys. It was a lot of fun. Enjoyed the conversation as always, and we'll talk next week.
See you, man.
See you later, Scott.
I think that really is a show, Greg, and we'll wrap up here in a second. We don't need to go the full.
Yeah, I think it is. And I see. I actually see this somewhat differently.
Good.
Because you could.
I need that perspective, right?
Right. So you could also use it as maybe it's the way to sell people on still coming to your park. Because if I can print all this stuff in my backyard, yeah, I can have it. I can print the bird or print the tree or right. I can print all that stuff, but it's not real. And people crave real, for lack of a better term. So maybe there's a big upswing in the backyard printing of stuff, but eventually people are going to crave the real thing. And
but what is real if your body and your brain believes it's real?
The without the headset on and the suit on, it's moving through the world as we all know it
true.
now,
That's
right?
true.
I know you're saying it's changing, right? But the other thing I see it for, and probably it's a really simple low level look at it, but it's a lot of what I do. But my God, the testing of things before you build it. I do a lot of design peer review with like engineering partners we're working with clients that want to build a brand new park on raw land. And so they're drawing it up with the engineers. And at first it's kind of just like pen on trace. And here's where the roads are going to go and the sites. And then it keeps getting more and more refined until you've got a beautiful CAD drawing with all the utilities, all the stormwater, all the elevations. You could take that and put it into the VR and you could literally get in the damn campground and drive through it. You could park on a site. Are the turning radiuses enough? Does my store have enough retail space? Is the cabin actually warm and friendly feeling? Do I want to stay in that cabin or is it really cold? You could test that. Oh my God, you could test every last bit of it. And by the time you launch, your property is flawless. Because you've learned.
You can A/B test it against 100,000 different buyer personas that you can spin up in AI and have stay and determine which guest likes which cabins more and market those things. This is going to be fucking crazy, and I love it, Greg.
That's a really cool. I want it tomorrow for that alone. My design peer review work would be incredibly. It would go up in value. I would be
like, you better believe, like, I'll build it.
Yeah. I mean, that right there, that alone, that's one use case and it's selfish because it's for me and it's for the work I do, but the possibilities are truly endless. But that alone, the amount of just, I watch people invest everything they have, okay, we say this is our life savings. We're going to build this campground and I'm advising them on that. I'm confident in what I do, but there's a level of stress with that. Like, hey, Bob and June here, this is their retirement savings. They're selling their home. They're moving into this. They're going to build this whole place out and it's got to work. I know what I'm doing and I'm confident in what I'm doing, but my goodness, if we could draw it and then drop right in and use it. Oh, problem solved. Of course, the engineering firms probably pick it up before I get my hands on it and then I'm out of a job, but that's all right. Cause Bob and June would have the park that they need. I'd be okay with that. I just go back and they're still going to need somebody for SOPs. I'm down with that. I can fix that.
You're going to be fine. Like, it's the first movers here, right? That are going to corner the market.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is going to be the thing. It's all about the future, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And if you see it now and you're a first mover, whether you're the first campground in AR/VR or you're the first person to offer this at your consulting firm or like, I've got AI agents writing. Like, you should go check this out. I have a new blog on Insider Perks called the Outdoor Hospitality Innovator. It just kicked off on Monday, but I have AI agents writing this stuff.
Nice. I
Really,
think you might have sent me
really
an
good.
example.
Oh yeah, I did.
I think
Like,
you sent me an example. It was
really,
pretty sweet.
really good stuff. Like 2
It was
blog
pretty
posts
sweet.
a day. Like, this stuff, like, is just like, I don't know. Like, obviously I'm biased, but like, I've seen the kind of content this thing can turn out, and so have you. Like, this is
Well,
a thing that's going to be like, you should check in on this every day as a park owner and operator. It's
So
gonna
now,
be great.
since you might be biased, after the show, you put it into O3, and then
So
you tell
three
it
and say,
that,
like, why do I suck? Why would people not visit this?
that's right.
Yeah.
Why does my blog suck?
Yep. Anyway, okay. Good show. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you as always.
Thank you, Ryan. It was a good show.
All right. We'll see
Take
you
care.
next week on another episode of Outwired. Until then, go form a virtual campground or don't. See ya.
Bye, everybody.